we stay informed and true, navigating the rules together to keep.
Hey guys, it's Joel with Coreware, and welcome to Compliance Corner. Now, today we're going to talk about some things that have been rumbling in the industry. Last night I was scrolling X like I usually do. It's where I usually get all my AI news and my basically any kind of news that you can imagine. You're going to get on X hours before it hits the mainstream. So I saw something that really shocked me. Evidently, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office issued a secrecy order to Covert Arms in regards to their ARDs, anti-reflective devices. It's those cool-looking honeycomb-shaped devices that go on the front of optics. So I found that kind of intriguing. So I went down the rabbit hole. That's why I look like I look now. I stayed up pretty late reading a lot of comments, but
and he woke me up and took me down the hole with him. So it's like,
I did.
we're both
I
here
did.
now. Yeah.
I did. But what we're going to do first is get into the more mainstream stuff, even though this is mainstream, because Tony didn't think it was at first. He's like, I don't know. It's kind of Tony's the what do you call it?
I try to be rational about it. I want to see a couple of different sources.
I don't even know what rational means. But yeah, Tony was trying to be rational, and I'm like, no, I see it here. It looks real to me. But we'll get into that a little bit later. So first, Tony, what are we going to talk about? I know you've got some really exciting cases that you've been looking at. Can you tell us what you've been looking at?
We all know there was an Illinois case that was sent to the Supreme Court. They denied to hear that related to assault weapons bans and stuff. We know the SCOTUS refused to hear that case, so we know that's done. There was another case, this one out of Maryland, specifically, if you want to look at this, that got up in the Fourth Circuit, where they upheld the assault weapons ban in Maryland. So it'll be interesting to see how that progresses if they try to push that to the Supreme Court. There was another interesting one out of New Jersey not long ago. So this again was focused on the assault weapons ban stuff, and this is kind of weird, a weird ruling. They actually struck down the ban on basically AR-15s, and what's really odd about this ruling is it was extremely narrow. It wasn't a blanket strike down of like what we call the MSRs, modern sporting rifles in whole. They literally focused on just the AR-15. And then even as part of that still upheld the magazine ban and all that kind of stuff. So that's really kind of an odd ruling on that. So it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. We also know that SCOTUS is gearing up to hear a challenge to the frame and receiver rule. And there is this amicus brief out there that's actually good reading on behalf of the Supreme Court to the U.S., actually done by the NSSF, the National Shooting Sports Foundation, kind of affirming why that rule should go away and everything. So it'll be interesting to see what direction they go, if the amicus briefs are kind of an indicator of the direction the Supreme Court's going to rule on it. I would say this would be in the favor of the industry. And against the ATF, but again, we'll see and how that goes. The other thing, there's a lot of stuff in the frame and receiver rule. Obviously, the big piece was like the 80% part kits, and those make your own firearms kits was a big, the so-called ghost guns. That was a big target of that. But there are also rules in there that change some matters of record keeping and change some definitions of manufacturing and gunsmithing. So it'd be interesting to see if this goes through to the SCOTUS and make a ruling. What parts of that rule survive and what don't. So that's something else that's going to be worth keeping an eye on too. And then, of course, as we were down that rabbit hole, what Joel was talking about popped up in with the covert events and the
Covert Arms and
devices
defense distributors. So
yes,
yeah, let's just roll into that real quick. We're not going to go deep into it, but we did want to bring this to you because obviously you guys, if you're selling items, now these are not items that I understand that you're going to get through our system, right? So I don't think we're pulling the inventory. I looked on a couple of our customers' websites, and I didn't see
Yeah,
those
I
items.
haven't seen it. So that's what's kind of weird to me. I've seen, if you look at kind of firearms dealers and
Right,
accessory dealers, their catalogs and stuff like that, and even distributor catalogs, you'll see things from the various optics manufacturers
right,
related to ARDs and stuff like that that have add-ons and stuff like that. So that's, to me, this is interesting on why is theirs being tagged through the patent office
right.
as
So, and
as being something secret. So yeah,
I
and
think we'll
again,
get into that because I did see some things. Now, it's something that I told you last night, Tony.
mm,
It's like you had said something, and I'm like, yeah, it makes no sense when you can go basically 3D print one of these things. And if you don't know what these things are, so I've got a EOTech that I'm having issues with right now. I just changed out the battery, all the innards and stuff, and it still doesn't work. So I'm gonna have to send this thing back. 15 years of use out of it. It's not like I was dropping into Syria, but it is a good product. And but what this thing does, what the Covert Arms ARD does is it's that honeycomb shape. Really looks cool. Evidently, there's a little more technology into that than what we think. So yeah, you can go print one of those things, but there's a whole science behind being able to detect optics. And as I started reading this stuff, we recently had something kind of big that big tech's trying to erase from history, and the mainstream media hasn't really been talking about it. But something really significant happened recently, and that's the first thing that came to mind whenever I started saying, "Now, why would they do this when you want to be able to, pick out an optic, right? You want to be able to detect some sort of an optic in a crowd, or and you can see where this is going because wow, I mean, if they've got technology that can actually find things, that it's I don't know what that technology is, Tony,
yeah.
but I know that there's probably stuff out there that we can't even conceive of.
Well,
And
what's that technology, and then what's the countermeasure to that technology that's built
right,
into these that makes them so secret? And that's what's kind of
right.
the I think
And
is the
that's
question.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, and that's
obviously,
probably what the secrecy order is covering because you can, as
yeah.
you can see on the screen here, um,
I mean, obviously,
this
in defense distributor statements, they talk about it not being illegal to own these, but now
right.
they've got to
They
basically
can't,
redact and
yeah, can't sell them to civilians. And they did say there was one comment or within this the secrecy order, it made a lot of people mad because in the secrecy order it says people uh law enforcement and military can still request these things. And everybody immediately assumed that they were going to continue to sell them to law enforcement and military. And they actually came out and said, "No, we're not. You're not reading this right. We're not selling to anyone. If we can't, we're not." And that's why I kind of wanted to dig into this because I respect the company. I think Barrett did the same thing. It's like you can't outlaw it for these people, but only have them for these people. I mean, like, what is that's very European of you, to want to kind of have the playing field unlevel. So they're taking a stand. They're not going to sell them to anybody until this gets cleared up. But let's go into a couple of
yeah, yeah. I don't know much about covert arms or defense distributors and that, but in terms of that's a really kind of an impressive stand that they're going to take on that.
right. So this says so, and I'm just gonna point out what kind of jumped out to me last night or early this morning as I'm crawling down the rabbit hole. So this is a proposal to ban all anti-reflective devices or just from this manufacturer. Genuine question. It's sad, first off, as an aside, that we have to tell people genuine question because we're also we're also what do you call it? We're very we have no sense of humor anymore. Like we have
Right.
no common sense or sense of humor. So like if I
But
ask you a
but
question, I have to tell you, hey man, this is a genuine question. Don't
but
bite my
but
head off.
but in the same breath, I think that's from that commenter. That's a legit question because that's kind of
It
what
is.
I thought. It's kind of like, are they going to like go after
Right,
all
right.
anti-reflective, or like, again, that's what my mind went to. It's
Yep,
what's unique about this one that they are targeting this group.
yep. So defense distributors said negative, only the covert arms ARDs. So,
Yeah,
and then this guy said, so
release it
only
so we
yours
can 3D
actually
print it.
work. um, so then we go down to let's see, where are we? So then we go to this next one here. This guy says, can you clarify while specific Leo and government entities are able to specifically request your product? And this is where he clears it up. We are not selling our ARDs to anyone until we can sell it to civilians. We're more making a point that the government is pulling a rules for thee, but not for me. Awesome. The wording seemed like you were going to still take their request. Best of luck. So yeah, it looks like they're taking a stand, which I respect. Let's see. What does this say? Insane to even bother with a patent for a honeycomb anti-reflective device. It's akin to guys that send the ATF clarification letters. So
Yeah,
here's where
they applied Chevron deference. There's been a ruling on that.
yeah. So defense distributors says we would agree if it wasn't radically different from what's on the market. So that's what leads me to believe that you can go 3D print a honeycomb the device to go over your optic, but there's probably some technology in here, and I'm sorry for all this noise. There's probably some technology in here that defeats maybe detection of optics, right? And
well,
obviously.
too with the advancement of IR and thermal technologies and stuff like that being built into stuff. Who knows? Maybe the old style of ARDs just aren't cutting it anymore. Because they were originally invented just to prevent flash, not necessarily other signatures. So obviously, so there's probably more technology built in.
And for those who don't know, because in all honesty, I didn't know about this stuff. Man, when I was in the service, we didn't have all this fancy stuff. We didn't have optics. I'm pre-ACOG Marine Corps, okay? Open sights, 500 yards. But what a kill flash is if you're doing this somewhere, the light catches the glass just right. Man, I don't care if you're a mile away. If that hits just right, it is like a beacon, right? In the dead of night, right? I mean, it is very, very, you can really zero in on where something is with these optics. So the honeycomb, I mean, you have to literally be standing in a perfect world to be able to see any kind of flash, right? And the sun has to be right behind you, or a light source has to be right behind you. So again, I know I'm rambling. But this stuff's fascinating to me. Let's get through these real quick because I know we're hitting our time. ARDs are just a honeycomb pattern. Any nerd with SolidWorks would design and print one in no time. And then defense distributors said, we can't disclose the invention in our ARD, but it definitely is a step above pre-existing kill flashes. That's the whole reason we made it. So looks like they didn't make this just to, a lot of people just pile on and make copycats. It looks like they actually took this a little bit further. And for the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office to be involved, they did take it a little bit further because that's why no one else is affected, right? Yeah. Only theirs is affected right now.
And I hope they buy it because they fight it, because if they're sworn to secret, if they've got the secrecy order, they may not be able to release. They may not say everything, but everything's leading up to it. They developed something that's beyond just a regular ARD device. And
it's perfect and I don't know, you said that they
and I don't know if that patent was in conjunction with the DOD that gives them some kind of power. I don't know patent law, so I don't know if they developed that patent in conjunction with the DOD as part, so that if that would give the DOD any kind of certain power or anything. So anybody who's listening who knows how that works or how that could work or has insight on that, delving into technology on what could it be, make some comments, let us know, share some info so we understand. Obviously, we roll through these comments, people immediately think that every ARD is affected, so it sounds like there's definitively more technology involved in this.
And the covert arms. So you mentioned that you hope they fight it. Well, this is perfect. That was a great segue into this next comment, by the way. We're about to spend a boatload of money to fight the government so that we have the choice to sell it to civilians and not just the government. I want to break the rules, but I believe we have more products that will test the lines of military technology exclusively for civilians. We're trying to push civilian capabilities to the limit, to the point that the military doesn't want us to sell our products. This is likely the first of many battles. So you can see they are going to fight it, Tony. I think I got a couple of more here. Yeah, let's just fly through these, because maybe there's something that might interest someone else.
The other thing too is I hope some other places in the industry get involved in it too and kind of pick it up.
Yes.
Like the NSSF being involved in writing that amicus brief. The NSF is our industry representation. You know, they do that. So I would be curious to see if any of those groups will get a hold of this and jump in and help them out with it, or if they should, definitely reach out. As that would be really cool to see as well too.
Right. Which is hard, because in this industry, everybody's really competitive. And if your competitor's going down, you just kind of let them sometimes. But I think we're getting to the point where, hey, maybe we shouldn't be like that. Defense distributors, but the purpose is the same. The government is really that worried about civvies making their optics less visible. And then defense distributors says, I can't tell you, because as stated in the letter, this is national security risk, but it's different. That's why we made it. So they didn't make just a regular, what you call it. They've got some technology in there that's a little bit more advanced than just some plastic that you 3D print in a honeycomb.
Yep.
Let's see. Let me see if there's anything else. We're about to spend about, I think I screenshotted that twice because it kind of excited me.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I love that kind of the let's go with the, okay, cool, I want one now.
That's why you and I are covering this, because obviously the majority of our customers are in business, right?
Yep.
And we would like to bring some intel that maybe no one else is bringing. So if you've got some of these on the shelves, be thinking about it. We know how supply and demand work. If you've got them, you may want to maybe raise the price a little bit to slow the spread of them, because you don't know when you're going to get any more in. Either way, I mean, the government, I don't think they haven't come out and said, hey, you can't sell these. So if they're on somebody's shelves, I'm sure they're okay. But let's see. And here's what fascinated me, and we talked about a little bit earlier. These most likely mess with aperture detection systems. I didn't even know there was such a thing. Sniper detectors that use sensors to look for scopes and lenses. My guess is it's because of a certain incident involving a former president and an ear. And that's literally, when I saw this, that's the first thing I thought. I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah, not to jump on a conspiracy, but it's been a long time since we've had an event like that in history, and traditionally those types of events have resulted in some kind of law, legislation, some kind of knee-jerk reaction that passed some kind of major legal effect to the country. So
yeah,
I'm actually surprised we haven't had more drum beating like that following that event.
Well, and the reason I bring that up is because yesterday I saw Richard Blumenthal, who was not a friend of the former president, came out and he said, we're going to be shocked and appalled when we learn of the failures that occurred to allow that to happen. Mm-hmm. So this is someone that he's not a fan of the former president. So I think if he's willing to burn the house down, to get to the issue, I'm all for it. And this may be one of those things, maybe the guy was using one of these and that's what, prevented them from picking him out right away, even though there were people on the ground pointing at the roof saying there's a guy up there with a gun. But we'll see how that we'll see how that plays out. The main thing that we want to bring you is just the fact that this is going on, and we're keeping an eye out for you. And we'll have you can pause the screen, obviously, or you can go follow Defense Distributors and Covert Arms on Instagram. They've got all their stuff up there, and you can dig into the comments and see if you can make heads or tails of it. But I mean, I think it's fascinating. I think that anytime something like this happens, Tony and I are always looking out. Tony is, like I said from the beginning, Tony's got his ear to the track. He is waiting to pounce on anything that's happening in this industry, and he insisted that we come in this morning and make this video. And no, I actually was with him on this because this is obviously it affects your business if you have these in your store. Maybe don't sell them right now. They may grow in value. And I'm not saying that like, oh, you're scared, don't sell them. I'm saying if they ain't coming back, you know, then they just increased in value by 100, you know. And if you guys know anything, please drop it in the comments.
Yeah.
I mean, I the little research I did last night, I know that Covert Arms was tied up into sending their kill flashes to Syria back in 2015, but that was through, I think it was through the State Department. It was just all weird. I mean, the whole thing's just freaking weird. And if we're to the point where we're, you know, preventing people from buying things that prevent things from flashing, like the aliens are just going to keep going. They're going to be like, those people, we'll wait till they've developed something else.
We're back to the aliens and the meteors. Great.
Yeah. These people are not advanced enough to communicate with us. So, but anyway, that's going to do it for episode 9 or 10. And again, thank Tony for 2 of these awesome episodes this week. And,
not just me.
No, I will. If you want to give me credit, I will absolutely take credit, because I think anytime anything like this happens, Tony, people are like interested. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, to me, this is fascinating, because it obviously, you know, these court cases or these actions like this, they're rumblings, right? They're things that happen before the big thing happens. So to be able to put all this intel together and make sense of it, I think will help, you know, those of you out there that are watching.
Enough paper cuts create a major bleed. So it's kind of watch and see where the trend is going.
You know what? I was going to ask you.
Start small.
Yeah, I was going to ask you for some closing wisdom. I think that's it.
We'll cover that.
Say that one more time. Say it one more time for the audience. The paper cuts.
Too many paper cuts result in a major bleed.
There you go. That's where we're ending it right there, guys. Hey, thank you so much for watching. We can't wait to see you in our next one. Let Tony know that he needs to maybe do 2 or 3 a week of these, because you know he's got plenty of time on his hands. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you in the next one.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Welcome to the Compliance Corner, where we stay informed and true, navigating the rules together to keep our freedom shining through. It's the Compliance Corner.